the energy of our resonance of our biofield is primary. Bruce Lipton will say that because you can't have chemistry without energy. So that's always primary. So if something's chipping away at your life force from your energy field, from waveforms of cell phones or routers or smart meters or satellites or crappy lighting, it's going to chip away at our health.
Are you curious about discovering ways of making your life better? Then welcome to my podcast. I'm Bob Nickman, and this is The Exploding Human. Listen in while I talk with all kinds of people in the fields of personal growth, health and healing, alternative therapies, psychology, spirituality, environment, and the future. I'm looking for those answers that make life better for everyone. You'll meet cutting-edge practitioners, doctors, artists, filmmakers, business people, and those who have overcome challenges. The brave, the curious, anyone who is out there helping us humans to explore, expand, and explode.
Hey, welcome to The Exploding Human. My name is Bob Nickman. My guest today is Justin Frandson, and we're going to be talking about how electromagnetic fields affect the human body and the human brain and our environment. But first, I'd like to invite you to visit my website, theexplodinghuman.com. Over there, you can listen to episodes, read synopses, see photos of my guests, and read a little bio on myself. There is also a YouTube channel where you can listen. That is The Exploding Human with Bob Nickman. My guest today is Justin Frandson. He's been involved in the field of sports, athleticism, coaching, and training, as well as founding a company called EMF Rocks, which deals with mitigating the effects of electromagnetic fields on the body. We talk about where these vibrations, these toxic vibrations, are coming from. For example, cell towers, as well as a little physics and history about these vibrational waves and how they affect the human body. There's a lot I learned on this episode, and I hope you will too. So here he is. Let's get to it. This is Justin Frandson. Welcome to the Exploding Human podcast, Justin. I'm really glad you're here because this is an important topic, and I know you're an athleticism coach and a guy who's been in the world of sports and athleticism and health, but we're also going to be talking about frequencies that we're being bombarded with. So there's a lot to talk about, and folks, you are being bombarded. You know that. You know you can't see it, but it's happening to you, with you, on you, over you, everywhere, coming up from everywhere. Maybe not the dirt. Maybe that's the good place to be grounded with some bare feet for a couple of hours today.
Oh man, you teed me up. You got to get grounded by nature because that's your nature. It's simple. That's the pillar of health, Bob, that everyone's missing.
You know, it's my wife is a gardener, and she's also a landscape designer. But by nature, she loves to work in her garden, and she works in her garden barefoot.
Awesome.
And I watch her change when she goes out there and she becomes, I don't know what you would call it, electromagnetically whole, stimulated, and she sings and she's meditative, and I'm like, what's going on? Because all right, let's look at it this way. What was one of the most fun things you ever did as a kid? You put a bunch of water in some dirt, and you kind of rolled around in it, and because the earth, tell us what the earth is. I mean, you feel like it's a battery of some type.
Well, we all are. And that's the coolest thing. I'm going to start off with a little physics lesson for you guys in the most simplistic way we could ever explain it. We are one with the universe. We're made on scalar waves. It's such a big word, but all it means is that they're waveforms that distribute equally in every direction. So the sun's not a laser dot pointing at your wall. If you drop a pebble in a pond, the splash and the waves don't go in a straight line to the left, do they? or right or wherever. No, there are resonances that go out equally in every direction. So that's the framework of our entire universe, and every living organism has a resonance of unpolarized waveforms that flow in every direction equally. But all this non-native stuff, the man-made, are all one-directional waveforms, or they don't work. So when your wife's in the garden, she's grounding, she's pulling those electrons from the negative ionic charge of the earth to recharge her body battery. And the way our body battery works, it's super simple. We get a negative charge from below. We get a positive charge from the unpolarized light of the sun. We breathe in minerals, and hopefully we get it from some of our food. And then you drink water for conductivity. That's how our body battery works. It's really, really simple. So the answer is get outside in nature and get grounded, and then start eating and drinking clean, food and water.
Boy, that is simple. And how many of us do that? There's a lot of forces at work, some of them deliberate, some of them not, that seem to conspire against that kind of optimal health. It's really daunting when you think about it. We were talking a little bit before about all the different waves that are coming at us from TV, radio, cell towers, who knows what else, microwaves. There's a million things that are just constantly, you can't see them. But and I was saying to you, I wonder what I'd feel like if that stuff was just taken away just for an hour.
Well, you'd feel amazing. And that's why people feel so good when they go on vacation. It's because they're getting that resonance of the earth. And all the rest of the time, think about it. Remember those TVs of old, when you turned it to a station that wasn't connected, it would give you static, be really loud and really ugly to look at.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. When you turn on a radio station that's not fully dialed in, static, and it's really loud, that's what our bodies hear all day long. We're just being inundated with this stuff. There are one-directional waveforms that just don't connect with our bodies. So that's the noise pollution, the invisible vibrational toxicity that we're being inundated with on a daily basis. Our entire planet is, and so are we. It's dehydrating us. It's making us sicker quicker. It doesn't allow healthy or people that have been compromised to get healthy again. This is a really big challenge. And when we can find those resonances and recharge our body battery, life becomes really a lot more simple.
I'd never heard it put as vibrational toxicity, but that's a great way to simplify what's actually happening. Now, I just remembered this as you were talking. When I was a little kid, not very, and this was in the 1950s, early 1960s. I went into a store with my mother. I was a little kid. I was probably about 5. And I heard this high-pitched noise. It was like this hum. And there was fluorescent lights in there. And I said to my mother, I've got to get out of here. There's this noise that's making me nauseous and disoriented. I didn't use the word disoriented at 5, but I don't feel so good. I got to get out of here. And the guy that owned the store said, and my mother couldn't hear it. And the guy that owned the store said, oh yeah, we have an alarm system that's, I don't know what it was emanating, but some sort of high pitched, high-end frequency, plus the fluorescent lights. It made me sick within like 10 seconds. And
wow.
I had to wait outside. And that was my first experience with, the modern world making me feel like crap.
Wow.
Yeah. I never forget that. And they were, as adults, they were like, what's wrong? There's nothing wrong. Nothing's going on. But they didn't hear it. I was obviously very sensitized because I was a kid, nothing had been too damaged yet.
Well, yeah. And you don't have the defense mechanisms in place when you're a kid. Your brain hasn't fully developed. So you're just more sensitive to stuff. And what I like to call that is you're just more aware. You had that awareness at an early stage and you didn't know what it meant. And now you do. And I had the same thing. I would talk to a girlfriend on the phone, on a corded phone for hours, and my head would start I would get pain in there. I'm like, this is weird. Why is this happening? It's corded. I'm like, hey, mom, dad, does this happen to you? Like, what's going on? Everyone's like, no, it's fine. I don't feel anything. But these are gifts that they're giving us to feel. And when you numb yourself, you don't feel. When you bombard yourself with so much toxicity, you don't feel. And we just have a gift that we want to share with everyone, is the gift of awareness and feeling and knowing how your body feels. Get out of this meta universe where industries want technology to tell you how you feel so they make money off of it. No, get back to connecting with God, getting grounded by nature, and knowing how you feel or slept or how many steps you took.
When you talk about the waves of the universe, the vibration of the universe, and I always think about the space in between the things that look like objects or that are objects, solid masses, planets, stars, whatever they are, gaseous things. But there's a lot of what looks like nothing in between those things. But it's, and you use the word in the other podcast I saw, plasma, which I went, oh. And then right after that, you held up a book by Eileen McCusick, who I haven't read that book, but I read the one on using tuning forks and sound healing. So she was the one that introduced me to that concept. That stuff that looks like nothing is not nothing. That's what you're talking about. I guess plasma is a great word. I think it's the best word, but.
Right. And Bob, they call it ether or plasma. And that's where waves and particles travel through. And that's where these waveforms, they're not one directional, travel through. And so that's how we're able to see each other, hear each other. And you're not supposed to see air at the end of the day. Maybe we do in LA, because there's so much pollution, but you're not supposed to see it. And so people don't connect that with our environment. Tom Cowan talks about the dolphins getting sick when you put oil in the water and pollute it too much. That's a very quantifiable, tangible concept that everyone can grasp. But when we pollute our air with invisible waveforms that are 10 zeros faster than how we're sleep rev optimized of a one directional waveform, that, and now is the only time they can start to understand it, because we understand physics and that this air is our environment, and there's plasma that waves and particles travel through. So that could be very disruptive for our environment and us. And it is.
My sensitivity to fluorescent light has always been there. I cannot stand to be in a room with fluorescent light. I can do it, but I don't feel good. As soon as I walk in, it hurts. Not just my eyes, but it's disruptive, and it feels like it's an incomplete light or something, I guess, which it is. It's in a narrow spectrum.
It is. It doesn't have the full spectrum of light. And that's why you can go in, and if you don't understand this concept, go shop for light bulbs and they'll say full spectrum of the light. They want the colors of the rainbow within that light. If it's just a really blue or white light, like it's not a full spectrum, it's going to be a stressor on the body. And our body is a holograph of light, and our light is just like a rainbow and the chakra colors. It's a red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. Like it's the same spectrum and order and color and sequence of a rainbow, with your chakra, with your root, all the way up to your crown. So this holograph of light that we're in can be super disrupted from a toxin color of a one directional light as well, because our health lies in our chi. The energy of our resonance of our biofield is primary. Bruce Lipton will say that, because you can't have chemistry without energy. So that's always primary. So if something's chipping away at your life force from your energy field, from waveforms of cell phones or routers or smart meters or satellites or crappy lighting, it's going to chip away at our health.
Well, I feel it all the time. You know, I walk in places and I mean, you look very vibrant. And so, what are you doing to mitigate this problem? See how I segued there from a compliment into some information? Look how I did that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Likewise.
Yeah,
And
thank
I
you.
feel it too. This stuff is inundating us at all levels. But I tell you, I'm like you, where I have strict protocols that I have to adhere to for my optimal health and longevity. So I get grounded every day. I'm either walking barefoot outside or jumping into a body of water. I'm doing my work and my protocols. I'm taking silica to stay hydrated from the barium and the chemtrails that they're crop dusting humans with. And I'm literally getting outside in nature, breathing in fresh air as much as I can, getting the sunlight. I free dive, I surf, I'm in bodies of water all the time. I do cold water therapy. I have protocols at home that we want to teach everyone of electricity goes off in the bedrooms. All wireless devices are on airplane mode at night. They're charged in other rooms. And my computer's hardwired right now. My cell phone is on airplane mode right now. Like literally, there's no millimeter waves right now in my residence. There might be milligauss, but not millimeter waves. So I do my part to protect the residents. I don't wear earbuds because that's a router in your inner ear where there's just an airway directly to your brain. I never put a cell phone up to my head. I always speak on speaker. I never have laptops on my lap, even though they sell them as a laptop, because my reproductive organs are there and I don't want any challenges with that. But for anyone, young kids, women, women's eggs absorb, or their ovaries absorb 10 times the amount of radiation than any other part of the body. Guys' sperm counts plummet. So we got to look at the awareness of all this stuff. And so let me dive in a little more, Bob, on the science behind it, so it kind of validate what I just shared.
Great.
Dr. Martin Pall is a professor out of Washington State University, and he did some incredible studies on the voltage-gated calcium channel. So let's think about what that means. The energy, the voltage gated, that's a gateway for energy to flow into the cell, essentially, for mitochondria function. And those are disrupted. It's a secondary effect from man-made EMF disrupting that from a vibration. And that effect in turn causes cell and DNA damage. So what happens is there's less positive calcium into a negative cell. And that in turn causes cell and DNA damage. Destructures your water, dehydrates you, decharges your body in certain areas. I found that the eyes, the teeth, the thymus, your upper chest, and your intestine area below your belly button are the 4 areas that will lose their polarity, because every cell has a positive negative charge that we keep that conductivity going in our body battery. So if you lose some polarity in it, you just don't wake up on your energy, right on the mark. You get fatigue throughout the day, feel foggy, brain fog. And so we use the grounding bags, our EMF rocks grounding bags, to recharge the body. You can tap on it. I'll tell you that in a minute. But that's kind of the science behind it. Is your mitochondria health is deteriorated, which ends up being a gateway. And then the level 1, 2, and 3 that I think more people are more familiar with are, the first one would be level 1 is cognitive. So lack of focus, memory, anxiety, fatigue, sleep, lack of sleep, stress, behavioral challenges, headaches. Those would be all level 1 EMF, toxicity. Level 2 would be more severe headaches, migraines, muscle twitching, all the way up to seizures, rashes on the skin. We saw in the Havana syndrome, the Havana cohort, the first attack of U.S. Embassy workers on foreign soil with microwave radiation was a non-trauma concussion symptoms. So nausea, vomiting, fatigue, disorientation. And then you go into the bigs: cancer, suicide, diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, and cardiovascular disease. And right now, Bob, the biggest challenge, I think, for the next generation is the lack of fertility that this is causing.
When you think about all the people that are struggling with the problems you just mentioned, all those different levels of problems, and the way they're being treated, and the way we treat ourselves when those things happen, to think that there is a really good chance that it's avoidable. I'm not saying everyone that has migraines is because of that, but even if it's 15%, I'm just picking a number out of the air here, that's a huge amount of people that could be their pain could be alleviated just by a lifestyle change. It's what are we doing to ourselves as a species? It's so bizarre that the idea of progress seems to be to eliminate our true nature and do something else.
Right.
Almost the antithesis of our true nature in the name of some kind of a progress. I don't know where we're racing to get, because we're already here. It's madness when you really think about it that way. I'm getting upset.
Well, you can't say it better than that. I mean, that is just so true. And you nailed it on the head. It's about, I saw a study years ago that said it was about 10, 15% of the population. So, with the levels of increased radiation, we're probably seeing about 20% that or above are affected, and EMF sensitive. And I go so far as to say EMF toxicity affects everyone. And currently, I feel it's the number one stressor on our environment and our body. And let me back that statement up, because it's a really strong statement. And the reason I say that is because we've never, ever been inundated with millimeter waves of one directional waveforms at the extent that we are now. This whole Internet of Things, the smart meters, the grid of cell towers, the phased array laser beams of satellites, that there are over 7,000 now, closer than they've ever been to the entire universe. We've never, ever in the history been inundated like this. And Bob, I know you're probably familiar with The Invisible Rainbow, right? That book?
I am not.
It's called The Invisible Rainbow by Arthur Firstenberg. It categorizes the history of electricity and life. And in 1889, that was the first time we introduced electricity into our homes. But before that, Bob, they called the flu because it would fly in and fly out with solar flares. So then a lot of people would adapt and some wouldn't, they'd transition and all that stuff. But it would happen sporadically, depending on cosmic shifts in our electromagnetic blanket of an atmosphere. And not until 1889 was the flu here to stay, when we started living in electrical boxes. In 1918, they categorized that as the Spanish flu, where a lot of people got sick all at one time and a lot died. Guess what we rolled out on a broad spectrum across the entire world?
Must be radio.
Radio waves, exactly. And then Hong Kong flu was satellites in the Van Allen belt, this protective atmospheric layer in our atmosphere. And then World War II, we rolled out radar for the first time ever. A lot of people got sick from radar. And then we adapt. That's our adaptation process. And then what have we seen the last, couple years?
Yeah, the cell.
5G. They rolled out 5G. So that is categorized in this book in the most elegant manner. The bibliography is about 150 pages in this. This is the biggest reference that we can validate. Now, a friend of mine and colleague, Zach Bush, will say, well, 40 years there's been glyphosate, and that's destroying gut health and da-da-da. That's also an environmental toxin. The concept is the same, where when you pollute our environment, we adapt to it. And how do we adapt? Well, we produce a virus. It's a dead protein. It's our adaptive system. We're built on them. Zach Bush would say to the tune of 10 to the 31 viruses in us and around us at all times. So they don't eat, they don't reproduce, they don't derive energy. They're self-limiting by nature. They're not designed to kill the host. That's what viruses are. They're our adaptive system at work, just like fungus and bacteria. We wouldn't be here without them. That's why we're one with the soil, and your wife feels so good gardening. So what we've seen in the last 140 years approximately is our bodies adapting to environmental stressors.
My son did this experiment with Chat GPT, and he asked it to show him what a human was going to look like in like 100 years or whatever. He said it freaked him out. I mean, who knows if it's really this? He goes, look, there's wires coming out of the guy's head. And he goes, it really freaked me out. I don't know what's happening.
If Bill Gates and Elon Musk have their way with the world, that's what it'll look like. I mean, but you know what? We're here to say no to them. This is proximity awareness protocol time, everyone. We're not made on these one-directional resonances. So keep them as far away from you as possible. Opt out of your smart meter, convert it to analog. Get those waveforms passing you by, not localizing them in your inner ear or over your reproductive organs. Stop putting cell phones for people that cycle. I see them carry them over their sacrum and their lower back. That's your opposite side of your power center for your body. You're shutting down your electrical system that flows in a circular flow, as Eileen McCusick in Electric Body, Electric Health talks about in her book. Like, that's the flow. You can see the flow and the resonance of how our body energetically flows. And we call it the piezoelectric and thermal dynamics. And that's our own energy field of our body, that resonance. We're taking on 6-7 extra volts in our body of one directional waveforms. It's so disruptive and toxic. And so people get wired on this stuff, but it's not healthy. And then when you're trying to sleep, the next topic I want to go into is sleep, because that's a huge thing.
Yes, it is. A lot of people really struggle with broken sleep, insomnia, all kinds of issues with sleep, and there's sleep disorder clinics. And, isn't that an odd thing when you think about, human beings are made to, we come in and we do a day and the sun goes down and we go to sleep. It's not really anything other than just animal behavior. And yet we have sleep disorders. It's so strange. You're doing it wrong. You're not sleeping correctly.
Take this Ambien and shut down all your other systems, and maybe you want to kill yourself too. I mean, it's crazy what people are doing to get some sleep, because their monkey minds keep going. They're leading with their head, not their heart. They don't have these procedures in place to create a resonance that's low and slow with the earth. So this is where I wanted to share with everyone, is that the resonance of the earth, it's called the Schumann resonance. Are you familiar with that one, Bob?
Yes.
So that revs at 7.83 hertz, approximately, depending on the season. 7.83 hertz transfers into 7.83 waves per second. So that's how we're going to all be able to chew on this concept. Now, we have this brainwave state. When we sleep, we're in a low brainwave state. When we're awake, it's a little higher. they call them sleep states, or the alpha or the delta theta brainwave states. Are you familiar with those?
Yes.
Simple concept, proven by science. When you're in a delta brainwave state, you're 1 or below 1 to 4 hertz or waves per second. That's how low and slow your brainwave state. When you're in a theta, which is your creative, dreamlike state, 4 to 8 hertz or waves per second. Our athletes for athleticism.com, they rev at 8 to 12, 13 hertz or waves per second in an alpha brainwave state. And then you go into the higher brainwave states and the betas as they get more awake, right? So guess what this revs at right here?
What are you holding up? I didn't see.
That was a really cell phone.
Oh, a cell phone. Okay,
cell
you
phone.
did it too fast. I was sort of half looking out the window because something moved.
Cell phone.
Now I see it. It's a cell phone, folks. It's
Here,
an iPhone.
Let me throw it away. No, it's 2.45 billion waves per second.
Oh my God. Now that is a little bit different than 7.
So it's 10 zeros faster. So when I point a meter, a one directional meter at it, the meter can't read the strength that cell phone's outputting. It's so strong. And our meters are designed to measure certain levels of speed of waves per second. So a milligauss meter would meter 50 to 60 waves per second. A dirty electricity, a Stetzer electric meter, where you go to Stetzer, STETZER, electric.com, will meter basically 4,000 to 100,000 waves per second. An acoustometer, a one-directional wireless meter, will meter 50 million to maybe a couple billion waves per second. So this is 2.45 billion waves per second. 5G is 60 to 90 billion waves per second.
I'm getting dizzy.
Yeah, we're at 1 to 8, and then we're at 8 to 12. And when we're sleeping and revving and optimizing, you guys, when you add 10 zeros to the speed of a one directional waveform, it jacks us up pretty good. And so does it with the environment. So what we have to do is get grounded by nature. But there's this cool thing. So I don't want to scare everyone. We want to educate them. There's this thing called physics, where guess what? You can convert a one directional waveform into something that's unpolarized. And how do you do that? Through Mother Nature, through the resonance of nature. Here, I have what's inside our crystals.
Okay, so
inside our grounding bag.
What do you call this bag? You call it a...
So my two companies are athleticism.com, where I've worked with athletes for 25 years. And I saw them breaking down from wearable technology. I looked to nature to solve it. And we rolled out emfrocks.com. And right now we're the leading natural provider of natural EMF protection products.
Okay.
Because we look to nature. We hand mine these crystals. They have moisture and magnetic properties. They have a resonance to them that creates a coherence, a harmony, a balance between us and the one directional waveforms of all non-native EMFs. And we sell it through doctor clinics all over the country as these grounding bags. And you use it as is, put it on your bed, and you'll sleep 3 to 50% deeper, maybe even more.
It's almost like a, you know how you have those bags of desiccants that you put under a damp sink? It's like, it seems like it's that for waves. It
is. Yeah, you're just transmuting and you're basically harmonizing those waveforms. So that's what the healing capacity of Mother Nature has. She's designed to heal us. She knew we would inundate ourselves with these one directional waveforms. So that's why we have this body battery outside. And when we're in it, we feel so much better. And yes, we don't have the stress of work when we're on vacation, but the main reason you're really recharging is because of the cellular component that's happening. Your mitochondria are getting the fuel that it needs to heal. and then to recharge and to rest. And that's why we feel so good. So when you can't get outside in nature, you can bring the grounding bags and bring her resonance into your home. And 5 of these grounding bags together will clear 2,000 square feet. So you can clear an entire home with 5 grounding bags. You need 7 if you have solar. And sorry, everyone, if you drive a Tesla, which so many are wanting to do these days. And I have no idea why, because pharma can't even make this up. Nowhere have I ever read sitting on a massive battery, Bob, is good for your health.
It doesn't make any sense. And, and so actually the more I sort of find out about those batteries themselves and the disposing of them and the amount of energy it takes to, it's just a different use of energy, but you're not really saving much. It's just on a different area. So
it's actually worse. So you're still mining coal, cadmium, the precious minerals, nickel, all in the mining process of that go into these batteries. And then what happens is it's 18% lower testosterone when you're sitting in it. So not only are you using more fossil fuels, but you're lowering your testosterone. You're really chipping away your life force once you're in it. And then you're zapping your health, dehydrating your system, you're messing with your fertility. And then once that 10 years has gone by, if you get 10 years out of a car, most people don't, those batteries end up in the landfills full of acid and
brutal.
They're just messing with their whole system. So the batteries don't get more efficient while you're using it. They're still the same weight, and you have to plug into the grid to use them. This is the most ignorant concept in the history of concepts that's turned into probably the biggest fad with zero infrastructure for it. And I don't know how people keep selling it and wanting to cook themselves and get into this state, because the fossil fuels, they're not that bad at the end of the day. I mean, if you have everyone on them, yeah, it'll change a little bit. But heavy metals, our system can flush, our nature can flush that stuff. They're not so great at flushing the EMF. And the biggest thing too, in addition to this, is the EMFs, the bigger thing. Dr. Ibrahim Karim, founder of biogeometry, will state that this whole global warming concept is from millimeter waves, not from the carbon footprint of cars and gas combustion cars. So, and then the other thing I want to share with anyone who, likes to steal catalytic converters for their nickel and their precious minerals, you can just go steal a cell site. I mean, they have more precious minerals in cell towers than they do in anything else.
You hear that, criminals? Get out there and start taking those cell towers.
Pretty simple. You're going to see 20 cell towers down in Santa Monica, and you're going to sleep better than you've ever slept.
And then we eliminate a lot of waves that we don't need, and somebody gets a nice, Hey,
it's bonus for us.
Yeah. We're not encouraging anything, but we are going to laugh if it happens.
Just go steal a cell tower instead. There's way more money in it.
I want to talk about, because you talked about water getting destructured, and I just did an episode about structured water, the ability to restructure water that's been, had the life force taken out of it, basically.
Yeah.
So, that is a real thing, isn't it?
It is a real thing. And basically there's formations to different structures that we consume. And, that's why an apple is shaped one way and a pear is shaped another way. There's molecular structures that comprise every element. So water has a certain formation, and what it does is it has a structure to it. It's like a honeycomb Fibonacci spiral shape sequence. So you get that when it flows down a river, going in and out of these rocks and pebbles. And so on athleticism.com, we have a hose bib. One of my good buddies, Dr. Dave Jensen in Aspen, Colorado, created a water structuring device where you can attach this hose bib, to the nozzle or the end of your hose, and the water will have to go through several, basically marbles, if you will, and create that spiral structure shape. You'll smell the off-gassing of the chlorine, the fluoride, the graphene, and it structures the water, and it's more absorptive for our plants, especially the hard water. Like, we're feeding our plants hard water. They're like, oh, they can take it. Well, no, the only way they survive is when they get the real water. Like, that's, the structured water gives them life. And it's same with us. We want to get that back in our system. And one of the main reasons this COVID shot's been so challenging for a lot of people is because the graphene in it, they structured it in honey shape form. And so have current Navy SEAL clients. One of them was sidelined from the vaccine injury because he had a lot of lead in his system, but from shooting his whole life. But the graphene, that honeycomb shaped, his body took it in, thought it was, something that was beneficial, kind of tricked the body, and he was in the ER 5 times. So we've got him back to deployment now, but this stuff is real. Like, these honeycomb shapes, they're doing patents on them, to sell technology in it, to trick our system. Like, this stuff is the formations of how our bodies are supposed to be hydrated.
Yeah, it's amazing. I did an episode recently with this company, a guy from a company called Analemma water wand. Really interesting. I had never heard of this until literally 2 weeks ago.
Oh, Tom Cowan sells that one, I think. So drtomcowan.com, Dr. Tom Cowan. So Tom Cowan has promoted this water wand and swears by it, but it structures the water. You put it in it, it gives the water formation, and you stay hydrated a lot better. These are massive, smart doctors that understand soil, the body, physics, biology, health, that are promoting these products for sure.
One of the interesting things the guy said was that you don't even need to drink as much water as you're being told once you're drinking structured water, because it does what it's supposed to do with a lot less volume.
It's so true. It's so true.
I found that really interesting because it's, and water for the most part isn't delicious like it should be. I remember drinking out of streams when I was a kid. They were clean back in the 60s where I was in Ohio, and it was so good. Spring water and well water, it was so good. And now I have to be really judicious about what the brand, if I drink it out of a bottle, or I have a filter, but I don't have it structured yet. So that's my next thing.
Yeah. And now the water topic's huge. So I've been mixing between mountain spring water and then distilled water. And then when I get the mountain spring water, I always put ion in it. And that's Zach Bush's product to fend against glyphosate, which is patented as an antibiotic. It's an herbicide pesticide. That was in the ingredient Roundup that everyone was getting cancer from. So when you can put ion in it, it helps keep your gut from leaking.
Just being alive now is this obstacle course.
You got to bob and weave. You got to bob and weave. You got to stay on your toes, and you got to be healthy.
Oh, I'm just glad I have a sense of humor, because otherwise I'd just be mad all the time.
Well, a lot of people are, man. I mean, that's the whole thing. But I can assure you, there's the propaganda that we hear through radio or the broadcasting that goes on. I don't hear it on TV because I don't watch TV anymore. But that type of information is just all to sell us stuff that's not enhancing. When you can quiet that down and you don't hear the fear mongering, And then we just make good choices on eating, real food, drinking real water, or absolutely water that's been purified, as much as you can, then add back in some minerals. You can get this stuff. There's so many great resources now. Alphavedic.com has some incredible minerals that you could add back in. But we can take a really complex environment right now and make it so simple again. Just stop listening to the news and stop eating chemicals as food.
I always say that I'm not mature enough to watch the news. I get way too upset, and I feel like I don't know what this is anymore. It's supposed to be entertainment, I suppose, which it shouldn't be entertainment. And as you just pointed out, fear mongering. Fear sells. If you can make somebody afraid that either something's going to happen to them if they don't do X, Y, and Z, or that they won't get something fabulous and be happy if they don't, they got to be afraid they're not going to get something that everyone else has.
Oh, man. Well, that's the whole thing. Like the virus, we just talked about it. It's a dead protein that we produce. So the contagions are frequencies. So if I go surf in dirty water, I'll get sick. Like if I go in an airplane with hundreds of passengers holding routers in their hands, 2.45 billion waves per second times 100 plus people, I'll probably get sick. So now I literally have 4 of these in my bag because I do get sick when I travel without them. So yes, we understand that there's touch contagions like mono or STD, something. There's frequencies that our bodies will adapt to, but it's not a virus flying around in someone's mouth to kill somebody. That we wouldn't be here for billions of years. That's just not how this planet works. So stop living in fear, understand pillars of health, which are loving, touching, sweating, smiling, inner smiling, exercising, praying, grounding, lifting, being together. Like those are the pillars of health. And when you do that, like I have a super blessed life and I don't worry about all this nonsense that goes on. And whenever I see someone with it, I'm shocked that someone's still living in the dark ages of fear. And it's so sad to see.
It really is. And if you look at most issues that are problems, they come down to fear. At some level, somebody's afraid. And it's usually of something that's not worthy of being afraid of, unless, a bear is running at you. That seems like pretty legit to be scared. I'm going to run myself. But, it's a great planet if we can just pay attention to the things that actually make sense with a little bit of knowledge and attention and mindfulness and a willingness to look at what your truth is. And I'm not going to say there's the truth, but there are things that are certainly scientifically make sense. And I'm glad you were talking about those things today. I didn't know where this was going to go, and it went great. I've learned many things. Let's plug your 2 websites and before we depart. And folks, if you want more information from Justin, this is the place to go.
I love it. EMFrocks.com. Get grounded by nature. That's where you get grounding bags. We also have Faraday bags.
So what are those? What is that?
Oh, these are Faraday bags. They protect you from your phone. Your phone we have 2 different sizes. They save the life of your battery. They slow down AI from harvesting your data, aggregating all your information. So this is like the big threat to our privacy is all the information that we're just readily giving technology, giving it away. So the Faraday bags help with that. So EMF Rocks is where you can get those. You can find all our curated health products on athleticism.com, and that's spelled athletic, ISM.com. I wrote a book on it, athleticism.com.
Oh, fantastic.
And so we have the water structuring, molecular hydrogen. We have jump bands and soil enhancers, and we have all our EMF rocks products. And then the newest favorite for everyone is an MCT oil called lean oil that gets you ripped.
Well, I need to be ripped.
Why not?
Yeah, I put MCT oil. I use it, and I don't know if yours is a little different. It sounds like it might be.
It is. It'll be better. We'll send you a bottle and some grounding bags too.
Okay. I can't wait. Will my hair grow back? That's really the question.
I'm working on that. Actually, I found something.
Oh, I was just kidding. Go ahead.
No. I'm not kidding. Are you kidding me? I got a wife and daughter that just jabbing me all day long. So I'm hearing rumblings of something that works for hair growth. So I'll let you know when I hear it. That's natural. And I haven't ever done anything else. And I'm 51, but I got something in the works from somebody else. So I'll let you know.
Oh, I love it. That's fantastic. I mean, I would like hair for 2 reasons. Well, maybe 3. I'll say the third. Vanity would be the third reason, but that's the least of it. I would like to be warmer when it's cold out, and I would like to have protection for the top of my head when it's super hot out.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't really care about the bald thing. It's
you wear it well.
Yeah, I take a clipper and I go even shorter, as I call it, turning into the skid. And I'm just, if nature balded me, I'm gonna just honor that and just go completely bald.
I'm hanging tough here.
No, I can't see any missing hair. I mean, you have a little bit of a receding hairline. Do you have a bald spot in the back?
Yeah.
Good for you. So it's face forward. Don't show it to me.
I don't see it. It doesn't bother me.
Right. Well, you're a good looking man. Thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. It was a great talking to you. Really great. Thank you.
Pleasure, Bob. Appreciate you.
You too. Much appreciation for you folks listening into The Exploding Human. The website is theexplodinghuman.com. The YouTube channel is The Exploding Human with Bob Nickman. Once again, I want to thank Justin Frandson. Please check him out on the web. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.